everybody. Let's do a little bit of a deep dive on Masteron versus Anavar as an add-on for TRT. Look, these are vastly different compounds. Yeah, they both help to build muscle, but one of them is really drying. I mean, you get that grainy look with Masteron. One of them blocks estrogen, to a major extent, and that's Masteron. The other, though, being Anavar, is super anabolic. I mean, if you want to take something that is one of the most, perhaps the most anabolic compound that you can take, and it's just a pill, and you just throw it down with some water and fucking go to the gym and have instant pumps, that's Anavar, baby. But, while there's the good for both of these compounds, there's also the ugly. Anavar increases hepatic lipase activity, which actually strips HDL particles. And Masteron, though it definitely makes you look pretty good physique-wise, it does antagonize the effects of estrogen locally, which can, in some cases, feel like an AI. And could cause a bunch of problems. So let's break this down. Let's kind of look at a pros versus cons, where we've got Masteron versus Anavar, the practical applications of each, what I've seen in coaching, and a whole lot more. Sit tight, strap in, grab a beer, and let's get into it. All right, in the meantime, look, Cortex Labs is a TRT guidance, sexual dysfunction resolution, and performance optimization company. One major thing I want to say to you is, yeah, I do coaching on TRT. I help people restructure their protocols to get better sexual function, recover libido and erectile quality. And for the one-off call, which we have for that, and the one-on-one ongoing packages, they're all 10% off. All right, the code for that is 10 now. It's on the screen. You can enter that at checkout and book me in under a minute at livecortex.com and get 10% off, which for some of these bigger ticket items like the one-on-one coaching, it takes a lot of money off. All right, so go use that code, book me. This is busy season. I am continuously busy, so if you need to get in, please book me livecortex.com. But first, Anavar on TRT. What it basically equals is significant muscle gains, but a cholesterol risk and sometimes some side effects. As you guys know, I went down to 100 milligrams of test, and for a period there, I was running some Anavar. I think I started at 12.5 milligrams a day, and that dose gave me some tachycardia. We do have videos like this of Vigorous Steve talking about a pretty scary time he had on a lot of Anavar.
Forget about it. I got up to 54 kilos, 6 reps, 8 reps. I put them down, and I sat there wondering if I was going to die. I almost died from a heart attack running 50 milligrams of pharmaceutical-grade Anavar per day. And when I say heart attack, I actually mean something else entirely, but it's still very similar. It's called prinzmetal angina, also known as vasospastic angina or variant angina, caused by coronary artery spasms or spasms of other arteries surrounding the heart. And this, over time, if it happens long enough, can actually result in a heart attack. And
I got to tell you, from my own experience, like running actual pharmaceutical grade Anavar, the shit is very powerful. And the stuff you're getting UGL, I don't think is any way comparable to actual pharmaceutical grade Anavar. I recognize that even on 6 milligrams a day that I was getting insane pumps and I just felt generally really strong at the gym. So, there is a risk of some side effects with Anavar. But the muscle building, wow. Out of this world. Let's talk about some of the pros, the benefits of Anavar on TRT relative to muscle building. All right, number one, I would say, first of all, I think one of the highlights is that it's just dry gains, right? It's a non-aromatizable androgen. There's less rotor retention. There's no estrogen bloat, and you just get gains without, it being a wet compound. So that's always good, that you can take something that's going to give you gains, it's going to make you strong in the gym, and you just don't have to worry about estrogen. That's one of the really powerful benefits of using Anavar. Anavar amplifies nitrogen retention, protein synthesis, and satellite cell activation, all leading to a better state of muscle building. Anavar, compared to other oral anabolics and obviously test itself, improves strength fast. I'm talking about that day. If you run, let's just call it 10 milligrams of Anavar and then hit the gym, you're going to fucking be stronger that day at the gym. You got enhancement of IGF-1 sensitivity locally that is like hyper upregulated when you use Anavar. And that happens especially in fast twitch muscle fibers. You got a strong, potent, long-lasting agonism at the androgen receptor in muscle tissue. And then, though, there's the infamous pump. You can take Anavar, go to the gym, start working out, and your pump will be insane. And it's going to happen that day. One of the interesting things that it does is it boosts creatine phosphate resynthesis. So you end up, as a result of that, getting significant pumps. And the last, probably like unknown thing that it does is promote this thing called myonuclear addition, where muscle fibers actually gain new nuclei in response to stimulus, like resistance training. And so like that increases muscle hypertrophy, and it rapidly increases muscle fiber size. Because of this whole myonuclear addition, Anavar is like one of the craziest compounds to help you to retain gains, even like post-cycle, much better than most other orals. But sometimes what goes up must come down, and with the good comes the bad. So let's talk a little bit about the lipids and exactly why your lipids can almost definitely get skewed on Anavar and what you can do about it. So number one, yeah, Anavar suppresses HDL. Okay, that's the good cholesterol. That's not something that you want to suppress. You don't really want it going below 50. There's reports, and if you look at some of the literature, of Anavar suppressing HDL by as much as 30 to 50%. I mean, that's a significant reduction in HDL. That is just not something that you want. One of the reasons it does this, again, is it increases hepatic lipase activity, which basically strips HDL particles. Relative to LDL, it mildly raises LDL. Where Anavar can be, I wouldn't call it dangerous, but potentially deleterious, is when you already have pretty low HDL and you have high LDL. Now, if your lipids are in a shitty place, Anavar is just probably not a good idea. Now, there are solutions to this. Like, there's stuff you can do. You can do cardio. You can take citrus bergamot, right? Hugely beneficial in managing lipids in the presence of Anavar. You can take a red yeast rice supplement or red yeast rice powder, and that's going to help substantially too. You could dose some D-limonene. You could be taking some tocotrienols. There are a lot of things that you can do that aid in the reduction of HDL and the increase in LDL and the potential increase in ApoB. But don't fool yourself. Regarding Anavar, you're going to need to make sure, if you're dosing anything above 5 milligrams a day, that your lipid support is serious. So again, anything that you're going to take that builds muscle and has all these positives but has some of these negatives on lipids, which would ultimately equal cardiac function, you have to take that seriously. Anavar can increase hematocrit just like a lot of other metabolic steroids. Anavar certainly induces some nervous system stimulation, so it could make you feel a little anxious. It certainly did that to me. One of the things that people don't know about Anavar is that it can, through one primary mechanism, start to deplete potassium. So it is important when you're taking Anavar to make sure that you're getting adequate potassium in your diet. So let's talk about the smart way. The smart way, if you're going to dose Anavar, here's the smart way to dose Anavar. Best dose range is 5 to 20 milligrams, whatever you can ultimately tolerate and whatever your lipids end up tolerating. Run that cycle for 6 to 8 weeks max. All right, don't run Anavar for any more than 8 weeks unless you're doing competition or you're a bodybuilder. I really don't see a need to be doing that. Creatine, taurine, high protein diet, potassium-rich foods. Those are the things you have to have as staples if you're running a good degree of Anavar, anything above 5 milligrams a day. Liver support, even though it's mild, doesn't really mess with the liver all that much. You're probably going to want to take some NAC. You're probably going to want to take some milk thistle, and you're almost definitely going to want to take some Tutka with your Anavar cycle. So look, that's the bottom line, right? As a TRT add-on, it is not weak. It's very powerful, very noticeable. It's so crazy because people will take supplements and be like, oh, I don't notice it. And some drugs they'll take, I don't really notice it all that much. Fucking, that's not the case with Anavar at all. You're going to notice it, man. You're going to be dry. You're going to be bigger. Your pumps are going to be insane. You're going to be instantly stronger, and you will have keepable gains, but you got to watch your lipids, and you've got to really seriously manage your health when you're taking that stuff. Now let's talk about Masteron. Look, most guys, so Masteron is a DHT derivative with a DHT backbone itself that is made to metabolize a lot slower than actual DHT. DHT itself is in and out of your system. You metabolize it pretty quickly. It doesn't stay around. It's not really anabolic. It is drying. It does help the sexual system, but Masteron is just made, it's like DHT that's made to stick around. If you could compare a Masteron to anything, it would be like injectable Proviron with a much more anabolic edge. And of course, with Masteron, there's no conversion to estradiol, right? So it's another dry compound. You don't have to worry about bloating or having to worry about it fucking with your dick function, at least as it relates to increasing estradiol. Let's talk about what it does. Let's talk about Masteron and estrogen, then we'll talk about kind of the bodybuilding or muscle building aspects of it. Masteron doesn't actually block estrogen, so it's not an AI. It doesn't really act as an aromatase inhibitor to some significant degree like an AI would, but it does compete with estradiol at the estrogen receptors. So as essentially a functional estrogen modulator, it lowers estrogenic activity, if you will, without really crushing the blood levels. And locally, like at tissues, it antagonizes the effect of estrogen. So in these cases, you do have to be a little careful for it, because you want to take it for anabolism and to get that dry look and to build muscle and to have a really crazy looking physique. But at the same time, the more Masteron you take, the more you're going to suppress that estrogen effect at the receptor and the gene expression side, and the more it has the potential to fuck with your libido. That's actually everywhere across the web, across the forums with clients of mine. They take, in some cases, even a little bit of Masteron, like 50 milligrams a week, and their libido kind of disappears. So you need to watch out for that. Okay, that's what happens via estrogen, and the negative side effects of that could be a reduction in your libido, which could also lead to erection issues. All right, that caveat out of the way, let's talk about the physique stuff. Masteron makes you dry because, it's a dry compound, and it reduces subcutaneous tissue everywhere, so you end up looking very vascular. Dense, it adds muscle mass size. It really is potently anabolic. You've got the enhancement of neuromuscular efficiency. And that's common to a lot of DHT derivatives, but it's like it makes the brain side of things when you're lifting weights easier. Dosing Masteron, like via the neuromuscular stuff, makes you just fucking stronger. It improves visual density without weight gain. This is one of the craziest things that it does. It makes you visually look more dense without actually making you gain weight. Your skin changes. You get this paper thin skin looking thing when you're dosing Anavar, and it looks crazy. Like some of the crazy images of not just bodybuilders, but maybe just physique athletes and stuff that are obviously running gear. Like these guys are the guys who look super dry. They've got an 8-pack. Like they're so vascular. They look like they have no body fat. You're like, dude, that is an impressive physique. Masteron contributes to that significantly. And generally speaking, even though it's not particularly for mass, as like Anavar would be for mass, it does help you add mass and stay lean when you're on TRT. Some other negatives, though, just to keep in mind, as I said, it can crush the effect of estrogen and kind of make you feel like you've taken an AI, and in that case, it might be, causing libido or dick problems for people. It can crush HDL and mess with your LDL. So again, citrus bergamot, krill oil, fucking even niacin would be useful in this case. Obviously, tocotrienols, red yeast, rice, the stuff we talked about, all should be applied when you're taking Masteron. Probably the best strategy, okay, let's talk about strategies and dosing, would honestly be like with TRT, just to start at something modest. Honestly, the dose range, in my opinion, with TRT, for people that are not bodybuilders and not looking to look insane and get super freaky, would be like 50 to 100 milligrams a week. I would split that up. I'd inject on a Monday and I'd inject like on a Thursday. Yeah, whatever that split ends up being. 25 milligrams on a Monday, 25 milligrams on a Thursday, or 50 milligrams on a Monday, 50 milligrams on a Thursday. Again, you're not a bodybuilder. You're not trying to achieve, a physique that you can go on stage for. But for a lot of people with even those low doses, you're going to fucking notice a lot. And I'd say for 70% of people, it's not going to crush the estrogenic signaling enough to cause dick problems or libido problems. And if that's you, well, then yeah, maybe you can take the dose up. Maybe you can run in 150 milligrams of Masteron. Keep in mind, though, I mean, if you're running 150 a test and 150 a Masteron, it's probably the ratio is too even. Like you want to dose more tests than Masteron, almost definitely. Specifically, people that are sensitive to libido and erection issues regarding the reduction or the blockage of estradiol. The thing about Masteron in terms of like length of use is that I do think that you could use it longer, and I've seen it more successfully be used longer without significant side effects. People often don't get side effects unless they're sexual side effects from the use of Masteron, in addition to maybe some hair loss. So, rather than 8 weeks, I mean, you could run Masteron for 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 24 weeks, and beyond. I mean, there are people that run Masteron 6 months out of the year, and there are, albeit obviously less, people who run Masteron year round. Now, comparing the two, right? You have to look at each of these compounds and understand the pros, the benefits, the muscle building, all that stuff, and then the cons, the estrogen reduction in the case of Anavar, the pretty significant reduction in HDL, just negative modification of lipids, and then just make that decision. If you're somebody who needs a little bit of estrogen reduction, but you can't tolerate AIs, and you're wanting sexual function to be in a better place, there are plenty of people who take a little bit of Masteron as an add-on for TRT, and that dials them in perfectly. Maybe you're one of them. Again, for people that can't tolerate fucking estrogen reduction at all, but need estrogen to be in the 25 to 35 range, yeah, you're going to have to be on 100 milligrams a test a week, and if you're lacking anabolic metabolism in that case, or if you just generally want to be bigger, take Anavar. You know, manage your lipids, manage your health, take that Anavar, and then you'll have a complete HRT protocol. You have your TRT giving you what you need there. You have, you know, perfect erections, your libido's flaring, waking up with wood every day. That whole system is good. You're getting enough testosterone. Your bloods look fine. Your lipids are totally okay. But, you know, you have a low dose of Anavar there, and then intermittently you're using that, managing your health. You're going to the gym. You're looking fucking big. You're getting a pump. You're able to build keepable gains. And then you just kind of cycle on and off of it. I think what these things are great tools. Anavar, Masteron, incredible tools for those of us that both want to experiment and want to modify our physiques. Bottom line with Anavar versus Masteron on TRT is that they are both fucking awesome. Both come with some drawbacks. If you can manage that appropriately, you can use them in a way which gets you what you want, and in some cases allows you to fully dial in on TRT. All right, look, boys, as I said before, coaching is 10% off right now. That is a significant reduction in price, whether you're doing a one-off call with me to get your protocol straight around sexual function, or you've got ongoing libido and erection issues, and we need at least 3 months, 6 months, if you got the budget, a year. But if you're doing any of these longer-term packages, use the code 10NOW, okay? That's going to run for an additional 7 days from now. It's 10% off all coaching, boys. If you've been thinking about booking me, now is the time. Summer is the busy season. There's going to be a point at which I can't take new people, and if I can't get to the fact-finding call for 4 or 5 days. You want to start immediately? Book me now. Use the coupon code, and let's get started. I'm the guy that fixes libido and erections, mainly, among other things, for people on HRT. You can book me for any one of the packages with that discount code right now in under a minute at livecortex.com, and you and I will be on that fact-finding call as soon as tomorrow. For those of you looking to get the edge cognitively, before talking about hormones, I was the nootropic specialist, consulted executives at big banks and other companies around nootropics. And after all that experience, I built one. It is called Torque. It is very powerful. It's basically like taking Adderall, but not having the side effects. It's like the most enhanced version of a stimulant you could possibly ever take, and it feels really, really good. All right, it's down in the description of this video. Buy it now. It'll ship to your doorstep in under 2 days. Well, all right. Give me this. Brother. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and got some good content out of this. Do 2 things for me if you would. Like the video. It makes a huge fucking difference. Has YouTube show our channel out to other people, which we want. This is information people need. And it would mean a lot to me personally if you did that. If you aren't subbed to the channel, sub to the channel. Many more breakdowns on this, libido erections, TRT of various doses, various additional compounds, injection frequency, injection methods, everything you can think of. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. Otherwise, kick ass, rock on. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. More content coming soon. Live stream this weekend at some point. It'll just pop up. Make sure you got noties on YouTube. And I'll talk to you boys on the next one.